Okay, I know the Glen Canyon Lake Powell section is not everyone's cup of tea. The numbers for this channel have stopped dead. But, when you have a book collection, it reflects your life and your interests. And so sometimes it's going to get specific and be about a reservoir in Utah and Arizona for a long shelf. And only 12 people will watch those videos, and that's how it is. Here's something coming up. All books about New Mexico, mostly Albuquerque. 2 different cases. Small cases, but still. Or a Southwest section. The U.S. Southwest, which I was going to follow the Lake Powell section with, but I'm like, is that too much? Is that too similar to do right afterward? And maybe I need to mix it up, but I'm running out of sections a little bit. Maybe it's just time to go to this nonfiction section I haven't looked at yet. Maybe it's time to really look into my heart and ask myself why I'm doing this channel. Books for younger readers could affect the channel negatively too, but then again, I don't know. How about the books for much younger readers? I did a video of board books that I was giving away to somebody, and I think that got like 3 views. Anyway. And then later I'll do a case review of the paperback case, but that'll be very last, since that's kind of the main project of this channel, is reading all of those. I also think maybe an interesting video could be closet trash books. Just books that nobody else has with me. An old yearbook or two. A script I wrote in high school. Letters I wrote as a child. A box full of letters of a 1970s traveling salesman that I bought at an auction. Got a box full of letters. I already looked at these antique books. That kind of killed the channel temporarily. I thought that would be more of interest to people, but... Like, Buddy and his chums didn't draw people to the channel. I don't know anything about anyone. I would have thought that would have had everybody clicking. I mean, not just Buddy, but also his chums. Squirrel. We need to do like some tricks or something. Come on, get us them likes. Do it, kitty. Do it. Do something cute. Come on. Squirrel. Where'd your mother go, cat? I can't find her in this tiny apartment. Okay, so I kind of went off in the middle of one of those early Lake Powell videos about place names books, but I want to do a whole little short video on place names books. Maybe like 10 minutes. The wind is wild today. Just getting wild. But I love place names books, and if you don't know, oh, there's the Priz. What's up, Prism? Place names books are such a cool thing. There's a Utah place names book. I mean, you're traveling around the Southwest. Oh, the binding is splitting. That's so sad. Well, I'm still going to keep it because it's a very useful reference. I started GoFundMe to fix the binding on this book. $8,000. That should do it. Lousy Jim Creek originates in the Tushar Mountains east of Beaver and drains southeast into the Beaver River. The creek was named for a local sheep herder who was afflicted with a bad case of lice infestation. See, place names are not boring. There's a million jokes to make here. One of my favorite canyons. Davis Gulch originates at 50 Mile Point near the southwest ridge of the Kaparwitz Plateau, aka 50 Mile Mountain, and drains northwest into the Escalante River, the last named river in America, named by one of Powell's men. Several well-known natural arches are in this gulch. It's amazing. It's one of my favorite places in the world. See Davis Flat for name source. Oh, thanks for the homework. I have to move up 2 paragraphs. Great. Thought I was done with work. Davis Flats, Garfield County, are on the Aquarius Plateau near Cyclone Lake, 3 miles northwest of Pony Lake. Johnny Davis and his brother George ran their sheep on the flats. That was not without consequence. The sheep that the Mormons brought into Utah pretty much killed the Paiute people. The Paiute people their diets consisted mainly of this sort of grass seed that was really abundant in the area that they used like wheat as this multi-purpose, like life-saving thing. And sheep, unlike horse, pull up the roots of the plants that they eat. So when the Mormon settlers and others brought sheep in, they pretty much condemned the Paiutes to starvation and extinction. Colonization has its steep costs. Paiutes were, sure some are still around, but they, I think I've met some Paiute people. Oh, Molly's Nipple, that's a famous one. Named for some guy's wife. Let's see. According to early cowhands, the geologic feature was named as a compliment to John Kitchen's bride, Molly. But I think I read somewhere that there's 3 Molly's nipples. I have heard that it may have appeared on maps before this John Kitchen fella and his wife appeared. Sadie's nipple. What was on the mind of these old cow pokes? See also the name origin of the Grand Tetons in Wyoming. I made a note here. Oh yeah, some of these snake features around Provo were named by one of my ancestors, Benjamin Mark Smith. He was riding around out there and he found this like 6 foot deep pothole holler, and it was just full of snakes. He named it that. Yeah, I think it's a lot of work to make one of these books. I talked to Bob Julian about putting together his New Mexico one. He was living in archives and going to places all over the states while he was putting that together. Danger Cave. Oh, Dandy Crossing. It's an early name for the Hike Crossing near the mouth of the Dirty Devil River. It was considered a good, comparatively easy, or dandy crossing. See Hike Crossing. Yeah, it was named by Cass Hite. Hike Crossing, see Dandy Crossing. You're just tricking us, man. This is an Ouroboros. An infinity loop. Mobius strip. I'm just going to die of starvation, flipping endlessly back and forth between the two definitions. That was his plan. Why do you hate me? You, my enemy. Such a strange cover. Like, they could have placed this square differently to be like the shape of Utah, or is that the shape of Utah? Let me see. Yeah, it's different. Look, it's, well, maybe that, no, that is what they did. But it doesn't feel like a perfect match. Maybe these dots correlate to something. I doubt it because they continue on the back page. Sort of weird wraparound cover. This seems like a choosing not to have a cover type cover. Maybe there's something simple there I'm not getting, like the shape of the state or something. This is a great place names book. I love it. It's a facsimile of a really old one. Prismo! Not a scratching post. It's not a scratching post. You have a scratching post. Go to that. But as I said in a previous video, I love this one because it's organized by county. So if you want to read a whole antilinear story of your county, of wherever you live in Arizona, you can read this alphabetized chapter-length section. And it's fantastic. I've read a few of the counties in here at least. And I've read like Graham counties a bunch of times. And probably Maricopa counties where I was born. And Apache counties where I lived. In a 14-foot travel trailer beneath a windmill and a cattle pond. Got engaged for the first time and fled a wildfire. And the counties that Lake Powell is in, like Kane and San Juan, probably. But this is a great book. I love it. And because it's a facsimile of an old book, it's got stuff in it that is just not to be found everywhere. He was closer to some old information sources. Ugh, another trashed binding book. But maybe all these place names books are because I use them so much. Go on a road trip to these places, these books come with. Need one for Colorado, so I have all the 4 corner states, the states whose corners touch at a point. My daughter just texted me. She better not call me to follow up. I'm filming a video. Don't end it. Then these are the ones I've used the most, and this is the one I've used the very most. This was the first place names book I ever bought. It's amazing. You can look up any place in New Mexico. I'll probably look at it again at more length when we get to the New Mexico section. I find myself feeling like I have to rush somebody calling suddenly in this video ending, because that's how my stupid phone works. But I love this book. It's in terrible shape because I have used it so much, taken it places, loaned it to people, camped with it, traveled with it, marked it up like crazy. Bob Julian endorsed it a long time ago, and I can barely read it anymore. Oh yeah, look, he says, looking forward to your Sandias book. That was, my book came out in 2006, so that's a while ago. But I remember finding an old article that said this book may have begun as a rewrite of this, like an updating of this. It quickly became totally its own thing. It's not, they're not the same at all. This is a wonderful book. If I had one complaint about this book, and it's a minor complaint, it's that sometimes it'll tell you what a native name of a place means, but it won't tell you the native name. And I'm like, oh, I wish you'd included that. But, you know, you got to make choices when you put a book together. You have to have scope. So, you know, I think he had a different rule he was following. But, oh, it's doing that weird thing that some books do where they get like plasticky and it bunches up. But this is the original place names of New Mexico book, New Mexico place names. Place names New Mexico, New Mexico place names. And this one actually has quite a bit of stuff in it that this doesn't have. There's a book about the postmarks of New Mexico. That's really rare. I've wanted to get that. That would be an excellent guide to some of these small towns. And anyway, wherever you live, See if there's a place names book for it. I know there's one about the Colorado River. There's one about the Grand Canyon. There's one for Colorado, but I need to track it down. This is the one I don't have. Probably every state has one somewhere. There's two for Albuquerque street names. One's called Atrisco de Zinalona, a snappy survey of Albuquerque street names. Very useful. Not complete. Another is called The Street Names of Albuquerque, Taos, and Santa Fe. Has some more stuff in it. Even with both those books, you don't have all the street names of Albuquerque, but they're both useful resources, and I've checked them out from the library many times. And even owned that Taos Santa Fe one. You know, you gotta love resources and reference books. If you're a writer, I don't care if you write nonfiction, fiction, you need to know about things, you know? That's why one reason to acquire books might just be for that one fact that you need that'll make whatever passage pop, you know? Something to quote, something to be aware of, something to riff off of. You know, I think surrounding yourself with books is an act of choosing creative stimulation. Like when I write an article that's about something, the first thing I do is go through my collection and get like a stack of books of everything that I think could possibly help me out. And usually there's always that stack. I do have a little home library. Somebody was telling me the other day, if you have 1,000 books, that's a home library. You can qualify that as a home library, like on taxes or something. I don't know. So I've got 3 or 4 home libraries in here. Just a fraction of what I used to have. But honestly, the collection's never been better, and I could read what I have my whole life and not read them all probably. That said, I noticed some absences. There's things that every section needs to be complete, to be made whole. While we're on the subject of place names, here's something I wrote, inspired by the place names of New Mexico in particular. It's a place names guide to the house that I lived in toward the end of my marriage, my first marriage. Published in Tin House, my biggest publication. R.I.P. to a good literary journal. Can't say it for certain, but I bet it was destroyed by private equity somehow. No, I don't think it was. In this case. But Joanne's was. Toys R Us, KB Toys, so many newspapers. A curse on private equity. But this was a fun one to write and to think about. It changes in scope all the time. It goes from macro to micro over and over again. Like here's Albuquerque for the first A because the house is in Albuquerque. And then it goes to art log, like this log in the backyard. Ash tree, attic. You know, when you live in a place, you give names that are just your names for all the places. Back porch. Sometimes they're kind of generic. Sometimes they mean something. Bernalillo County. Bottom bunk. Fairy cave. Climbing tree. Clothesline. Crib. Favorites shelf. Oh, I forgot about the favorites shelf. Oh yeah, it was this library one that displayed outward. Located at the end of the hallway between the doors to the bedrooms, this metal mesh display case holds 4 rows of books with their covers facing out. This is where Hannah and Hagen put the books they want to keep track of. Library books, illustrated fairy tales, whatever chapter books I'm reading them. Whatever makes Hagen laugh. Hagen has a huge clear body laugh he has to use his whole body for. When he laughs, he has to stop doing anything else to give in to it entirely, involuntarily gasping to breathe. That is true about him when he was little. He probably still does. Now he's almost 18 and he just got a tattoo of a giant biblical angel on one arm and with his siblings' eyes as some of the eyes on it. That's pretty cool. And their eye colors. Anyway. Yeah, the second I remember like within the first week that I had gotten this book, I was like, this would make a great form for a novel. Imagine telling the story of a small town or like a fictional county or something like that in a place names form. Still think that's a good idea. But I used it for a nonfiction essay and that'll be a chapter in book 2 of my book. Not all of the chapters I've had published will be in book 1. Some of them will be in book 2. It's a 60-chapter, 2-volume, multi-form work. And you kiddies would probably say that place is one of its big themes, right? You would agree with that? You're always talking about that. Yeah, thanks for backing me up. Look at that paw. That's the book. All right, so place names books. We'll see you soon. Turn to the New Mexico shelf, you two. And then these should go back in the Lake Powell section, I guess. So that's getting a little full, so Southwest shelf it is. To be met again someday, briefly. Someday soon. Second Wilco song reference. Okay, I gotta go. Bye.